first of all, we're gonna draw landscapes now. The reason behind it, we decided because it's a thing that right now is something we are like really missing, you know, during this Corona time, and we really would wish to go out more and be able to draw beautiful views and enjoy the fresh air and everything. So we decided it's a nice thing to, you know, connect with that if we drew some landscapes, right?
Yeah.
So Sonia picked a landscape already for you. Let us show you what are we gonna do. I'm gonna come back to these postcards in a minute.
So once again, this is Nanos, or top of the Nanos. Nanos is the mountain in Slovenia. We visited this place around 2 years ago, I think, and when I was just browsing through my library, I found this photo and I thought, wow, I would, if I could, right now, I would go there. So for my lockdown, I would like to do this photo or this painting. In the foreground, you can see the pasture on the top of the mountain, and in the background you see the valley with a few hills, and you can see the sky. So we're gonna try to sketch this one first.
Yeah, it's a beautiful view. I really like you picked that one. All right. So before we start, I will also tell you about the Cardscapes again. So this is what Sonia was telling you about when we finally were able to get the technique going. You might already know these. These are called Cardscapes by Landscapes, and they are postcards with drawing tips on them. And we already created several of them, you know, perspective and how to draw a tree and composition tips. And one of them is landscape drawing tips. And we'll be using those tips today. And we decided for this live stream to give you this Cardscape as PDF for free. So it's available for 24 hours to download. We put a link into the video description. So you can go there and download one of these PDFs for you. Alright, so I'll just put it there. If you have any problems downloading, shout in the comments. Okay, but so glad to see you all. You already told us where you're all tuning in from. We already answered basically your questions, but we didn't know you couldn't hear us. So once again, hello to everyone from around the world.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm feeling so bad right now.
Why?
Because the first impression, like when you come to live stream, is really important, you know. And doing this once again, I'm just thinking to myself, so I kept you waiting for so long, you know.
And we kept talking into the camera.
And we didn't know. And I think that's really a shame. And I hope we won't repeat that in the future.
Yeah, we'll do our best. We're still learning. Forgive us. Okay, but people like the view, people like the colors, and I will share a link right away. And maybe you can explain what they should prepare if they haven't already.
Okay, so I'm just gonna show it into the camera. So the first thing that you probably didn't saw is I prepared my paper. What you need is just aquarelle paper, something heavier, 300 grams or something like this. Then you're gonna need a set of watercolors. I also brought the kitchen salt. We're gonna see if I can use it. I have 2 glasses of water, a pencil, a set of brushes, a plate, and a few paper towels. So, yeah, I think that's everything that I need.
So is there an alternative if we don't have watercolor paints and stuff like that?
If you don't have any watercolor paints, then you can also use the watercolor brush pencils, for example.
Maybe there's also an idea it will be more monochromatic, you know, but you could also try doing it with any household pigments like soy sauce, coffee, and stuff like that. You know, give it a try. We'd be also interested what comes out. By the way, Sonia, everyone is saying that it's not a problem that we messed up, that it's totally fine. Thank you, Antef. Thank you, Isidor. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, HRZ. So all of you, Idranil, and thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks you for the support. Okay, so are you ready? Tell us if you have everything, and then we will start. If you have any questions, you know, just as you already know, write it in the chat. You can also support us through the super chat. Every donation we get goes towards, you know, making videos basically for you, making even more or better ones. And if you will have any questions during the process, just say it. Just say it. I will be curating the chat, and Sonia will be doing the creative part today.
Yes. Okay, just let me know when I can start.
People are ready. Someone just drank their watercolor. Michelle, don't drink your watercolor water. We do this not all the time, but happened already.
It happened.
Kim is ready. Ritika, the tape is cute, she says. And
thank you.
Heather is ready as well.
Yeah, okay, so then we can really start.
Let's dive. You just tell me when I blend the landscape for everyone so you can explain something, and yeah.
So first thing, we're gonna do the outline with our pencils, right? And maybe that's the point where Gaspar can show us the landscape.
Oh, yeah.
We want to outline the area where the pasture is located. And we want to also outline the road that goes from left side in direction to the middle. We will all outline the area for the forest on the right side, and yeah, that's for the foreground. In the middle ground, so there's a valley in the background that you can see, and this valley in the background is a small one actually, but there are some mountains that we would like to show, and we will outline those mountains as well. So I'm gonna do the outline now. If you haven't do the screenshot, please do. And yeah, maybe we can start.
All right. Meanwhile, Sonia, there is a question if taping is necessary. What do you think?
Taping is not necessary. It just looks much cooler.
Look at those llamas. It's a tape with llamas. I love llamas.
Yeah.
Is anyone from South America by any chance, or a place where they have llamas?
Okay, so
anyway, tape is a thing that basically helps you frame the paint later, and if you don't have it, you just basically are more careful with the edges and maybe not paint all over the edge, because the water might drip over the edge and smudge your table or something. So it's a good idea to also put something underneath, like old newspapers or anything like that. We didn't put anything underneath because we have a table that is we actually have a table that will smear pretty fast, but it will make it creative. It's a new table, and I like it that it's going to be a bit smudged with paint.
Yeah.
Sonia is skeptical. She's working on this table, so she's the one who gets to decide. Oh, someone's from Chile. Hi, Carlos. Nice to have you. This is great. I will switch back to the image, so if you haven't managed to do a screenshot, you can do it again. Yes, Heather. Yes, Tina. There it is, and Christina. So maybe we will switch now and again to the image, but you can do a screenshot right now. Maxo, also from Chile. So there's 2 people from Chile already. This is amazing. There's 51 of you guys watching right now. I think this is one of the greatest audiences we've had so far, so I'm really glad you tuned in. Thanks for coming. All right, so let's go back to Sonia and what she's doing.
So I'm just adding the lines that are important somehow for the later coloring. So I just added the lines for the road, and this is the outline for the hill, and this is also the area where the forest is located. Okay, so now I'm gonna start adding the mountains. And I must admit that this picture is quite, for you I prepared like a really nice high contrasted, high saturated photo, and I have here like really bad quality photo that I'm watching, which has not so many information seems, so I'm just guessing.
Which is actually a good thing, right? Because I think because I try to find the best in everything, you know. I do try to look at every situation and, you know, make the best of it.
Oh my god.
So, and Isles, no, you're not too late, by the way. We just started, basically. Get your paper, get your pencil, and we will do a landscape painting. So any one of you can join at any point. This is not going to be too problematic, and then you will probably see what we already did up till now, and just go with it. Anyways, back to abstraction, you know, the good in it. Basically what we wanted, one of the tips you probably saw if you already downloaded the Cardscapes, is abstraction. And this is one of the most important tips basically we can give when drawing landscapes. Why is that? Because landscapes are very complex views. There's so many information, you know, there's trees and there's shrubs and there's grass and there's, you know, a bit different kind of grass, and there might be some houses, or there might be a city, and there might be mountains and hills. And if you would try to draw all of that, it would be a visual mess. Why is that? Because when we look at a view, you know, our brain filters out a lot of information, and it basically lets through only the essential things. So when we draw landscapes, we try to do this, you know, instead of our brains, we have to do this and reduce the amount of information. So this is what Sonia is basically doing with these outlines. We're not going to draw every small pebble, but have a basic outline, right?
Right.
So if you have any questions at this point, just type it in the chat.
Okay, so this is the basic outline. You could also go a bit lighter. I tried to be a bit more heavy with the line, because so that you can also see what I'm doing. And you can see, so this is the part for our foreground. This is the road, and then that's the valley part, and then these are the mountains. Okay, and I also tried, well, I could do it a bit better, but the composition is like, this is some sort of, because of these peaks, it works like a focal point, right? So I tried to organize it like that it fits into composition, try to get it in the rule of thirds, so that it's like on one of the crossings between where the lines cross, yeah, or one of the thirds on your piece of paper here.
Why is it that rule of thirds works so well is because it's a very simple trick that is a simplification of the golden ratio. And as you probably heard many times, golden ratio is something very appealing to our eyes because it appears everywhere in nature and it has a certain harmony. So this tip is basically a very good one. Pick a focal point and set it on the intersection of the vertical and horizontal thirds of your page.
Yes. So, are we ready for the next step, or are we still waiting for someone?
So let's see the comment section. I think people tell us how far you have come with the outlines. Tina asks, where is the horizon on this picture?
I think on this picture it should be somewhere here.
Oh, you mean like eye height?
I think that's the horizon, right? That's the or the horizon at all. You mean the horizon?
Yeah, this is a good question when drawing. It can be a bit of confusion. When we say horizon in general, we mean like where the earth touches the sky. But in, let's say, perspective drawing, we think about horizon as eye height, where your eyes are at. So
or a line that we can use as guidance.
A line that you can use as guidance.
Why do you need that line, Tina?
Yeah, what is it exactly that you have in mind?
So this line is very useful if you want to add some people or something similar. Like if something happens on the horizon, then that counts. For example, we all know when you go to the coast and you look and stare into the ocean, you can see where the ocean meets the horizon line, and that's the only contact that you have between the water surface and the sky. That's why in that case the horizon line is very important. Or if you would like to add later on people walking on this road, then this horizon line is important again. But since this is like a hilly slope and hilly landscape, you can improvise a bit. It's not necessary that you think about it, like that you construct it in the same way.
As a perspective, as you would like construct a perspective view when you want to do a perfect representational drawing, maybe if you're an architect or someone representing space. We just have, I like to have a line usually to kind of fake the perspective. Yeah, that's what I just wanted to say. This is a good point. When drawing landscapes, you don't need to think about perspective that much, I would say. I would focus on it when we have a lot of elements that really vanish into perspective, like a street, when the houses get smaller and you really need to get the buildings smaller. But when drawing a landscape, I would focus on just the proportions and getting, that the tree is in right size in proportion to the hill in the back. And I would not so much think about perspective, actually, to be honest. But yeah, you can always draw yourself a line through the drawing, a horizontal line to give you a bit of balance. So 3/3 to the top. Yeah, that's exactly. This is basically right how we also positioned this drawing, right? So it's according to the rule of thirds.
Yeah, we tried.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in your case it's even a bit easier. If you switch to our landscape that we're showing.
All right. So for everyone who joined later, this is the view we're drawing.
Yeah. So here you can see a bit more clear, right? Because the format is a bit longer, and for that you can also see that it fits. Like you can also divide your page into 4 horizontal lines or areas. And the upper part is the sky, and then the second part from above to below is the background landscape, and then the last two parts below are the slope or the pasture that we can see. Okay, so is it okay if I continue?
I think it's okay if you continue. If everyone is still a bit behind, don't worry. It's a slow and patient process. So one of the things with watercolors that we learned is basically you need patience, I would say.
Yes. Okay, so the next thing, of course, we're gonna start right away, but I would just like for you first to consider about colors, something about colors. So I don't know what kind of palette you have in front of you. I have the one that has 6 different shades. And I think I have three of them are brown. I have something dark. I thought it's black, but I think it's something really dark blue. And then I have 2 additional blues, a green, a red, something, and then another red, and 2 yellows, and something between brown and yellow. So, and of course, when you see a landscape or where a scene that you would like to draw, we immediately think, wow, I need to grab that kind of color. And then when you try to add color, you think you need to go and find another color. And I think the art of watercolor is that you learn how to mix those colors together. And if we look the landscape once again, we can see that we have two predominant tones, and this is the blue and this is the yellow green. It's like this orange yellow warm color, and we would like those two to be our main tones, right? And with every landscape comes also the sky, and if you go and you travel, you notice that each land or each city has its own sky. It has like a special light. If you go to Los Angeles or to Ljubljana or to New York, or if you're like in Hong Kong, you always have, like, even if you're making photos, you see that there's a difference. And the tones are very harmonious. They work good together. And we will today achieve that by combining or mixing the same tones together. So I would like for you that you think about the colors and the tones that you're using. So for example, I'm gonna use today for sure the black one. I'm gonna use the dark blue one, the blue one. I'm gonna use a bit of green. I'm gonna use this ochre yellow, and maybe I'm gonna use those two as well. I'm gonna mix them a bit.
So let me just say, Sonia, that we got a €3 donation from Isidor. So thanks a lot, Izzy.
Thank you, Dori.
By the way, I have to say at this point, Isidor is my dad, so thanks, Dad. And thank you for watching all of these videos.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate all the support.
Thank you. Yeah, so awesome. Let's continue, right?
Yes, let's continue. If all of you are ready and set, we will dive into the painting.
Okay, so let's try to be a bit faster, since today we were talking so much. Use the water. So if you don't know why we have two glasses of water, one is for the lighter tones and the second one is for the darker tones. Because if we would use just one cup of water or one glass of water for all shades and tones, this would be just like a grayish, dark blue water, and of course you cannot add the yellow tones afterwards, for example. And if you separate those two, then you have, like, then you have a structure, and I'm all up for that. That's amazing if you have like a system. Okay, let's try to use this system. First of all, we're gonna do a bit of wet on wet technique, which means that you're gonna take your piece of paper and you're gonna wet the upper part, the sky part. You're gonna pre-soak it with water.
One question, Sonia. If someone doesn't have a thick enough paper, because we know this problem. If your paper is pretty thin, it can wrinkle really fast. So what should I do?
If you're using like a normal sketchbook paper, I would just I would do the wet on dry technique, which means that you should mix your color right now and apply it to a dry piece of paper.
Yeah, without pre-applying the water.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you noticed, but I added this water also on the, like, 1 centimeter below the line that I draw for the sky, for the
horizon,
for the mountains. Because we want that this sky just comes down, and then later on, when this part is gonna be dry, we're gonna just cover it up, so this sky part won't be seen.
Good tricks. These are tricks that I don't know as well. So Sonia has been, studying watercolors in recent weeks or days, and she came up with new techniques that I never heard of, and I'm as fascinated as you guys are, basically. So Tina says they have time. Heather said they have lots of spare time. Before that, we were reading your comments even before you could see us. So we saw a lot of you are also in lockdown, and yeah, really thoughts to all of you who are basically have to stay at home in quarantine. I hope you are all safe and your loved ones are safe, and I hope that this all is soon over. And in the meantime, we'll do our best to, you know, bring as much of these videos and as much of our knowledge to you, so you can pass your extra time that you might have right now. So once again, if you have any questions, just type it in the comments. I will always ask Sonia what she's doing, and you can also, you know, ask me some questions. You know, I don't basically have another task right now except for answering your comments.
Okay, so if I can chip in between.
Yeah, do.
If you notice, there's like a bit darker part. I just took a dark gray blue color and I applied it like a line just through the whole horizon. And then you just leave it be. Just leave this upper space, don't color this in yet. And now you're gonna take another color, take something lighter, take maybe the lighter blue tone. I would also mix a bit of this dark tone inside, so that you have like, we're always, through the whole video, we're gonna try to join the same colors to get different shades and tones, and through that this painting will be a bit more harmonious.
So if you don't have, we got some question from Idranil. Idranil, I'm sorry you don't have stock of water paper. I know right now it's probably really hard to get watercolor paper if the stores are closed. But if you have the thickest possible paper you have, just use that and be just save on water, right? Yeah. So try to use a little bit of water and more pigment, and you know, it's gonna be wrinkled in the end, but don't worry about it. It's an exercise. You can always do it later on thicker paper. Or
my suggestion is also that you take a hair dryer and you dry it out in between.
Yeah, this is a good trick to make the watercolors dry faster. If you're not so patient, you just take a hair dryer and you know, dry it in between.
Okay, so what I'm using now is just, I completely dried the brush, and now I'm trying to take a bit of the color away, because if you notice, there's this sky has like those kind of clouds that are just like the wind just stretch those clouds, right? And what I'm trying to add is just some sort of texture that would a bit remind me now that these are the clouds.
So this is basically like an eraser?
Yeah, it's like some sort of eraser. And you can also like just take a small part of your towel and just wrinkle it a lot, like just that it's like really soft, and then go inside and just try to add some clouds from time to time, so that you have really this feeling that, oh,
this really works.
Yeah,
I love it.
Like this.
So Ali is asking, what color is this that you're using?
Well, Ali, I can tell you right now. So I'm using the watercolor palette from Deller and Roney, and the name of the first color is Pinus Gray. So this is my first color, Pinus Gray, and then I have the blue, but basically I'm gonna use the whole palette, so you can buy that. I'm using the cobalt, and this is gonna be a bit dirty now.
Is it necessary that they use the same pigments, same colors?
I would say use the pigments that you find are matching to the picture. So it's not necessary that you try imitating me in a sense that you use the same colors, but because of course you see it through your eyes as well, but just try to, it's also like recognition exercise, like if you can recognize the colors. And yeah, I would say that's your main goal. Just focus on the picture in front of you and try to figure out which color would be the most appropriate.
That's fair enough. So, Heather is asking, did you really say fine as gray? Is that fine as gray that we have?
Pinus.
Pinus.
Pinus gray.
Okay, so not fine as gray. This is a bit disappointing. I'm sorry. It's not fine as gray, but it could be, you know, because like fine. It could actually be a color, you know, like, you know, as gray, as in like donkey gray, you know, too. But like a fine version of that, like a silky donkey, you know.
Okay, so if you notice, so this part also dried out pretty fast, and I'm gonna just leave it be as it is, and then now I'm gonna continue with this part, and that's why I'm gonna try and mix the color for that.
Okay, so Heather is probably right. Pinus is probably comes from pine, I guess, like pine gray could be, Pinus gray, probably, or maybe it will be a never solved mystery of the Pinus gray pigment. We will see. So Ritika has a question. What if the page dries up after applying a few layers? Do we put water on again?
It depends. What would you like to do? I mean, there are many types of many techniques that you can work on with watercolors. So you have this wet on wet, where you need to work pretty fast. So for example, here this was wet on wet, and now it's dry. And of course, if I want to do something else, I need to apply water again. But the wash that's underneath it, this will stay. So I can get this away. When the pigment is set once, you can erase that even with water. So yeah, it depends what you would like to do, but if you would just like to apply some additional color on this upper part where we started doing wet on wet, then yes, apply some additional water, not too much, and then try to repeat the same process. But if you have already a layer underneath it, then try not to add so much pigment, because it can be overwhelming. You know, it can get really intense pretty fast, because what watercolor does is adds a lot of pigment pretty fast. Okay, I'm still mixing the color here. So I'm adding two colors. I'm adding yellow, a warm yellow, and this ochre tone. And yes, so for this part, for the pastures part, I have like two different things here. First of all, we have like this huge orange golden field, and then in between we have this road with white stones. And I think that we can try to use this slope to our advantage, right? So maybe we won't wet everything here with water before, but we will just start applying the color. So I will just take the brush, and I also prepared a few brushes, because I will try to get like this effect. Like you can see that the grass is like, it has some special direction, right? You can see it goes from left into the right corner, and I will try to add some texture here.
Oh wow, it's always amazing when you see a different color coming in. It's a bit magical.
Okay, so, and the thing is that this is drying out pretty fast, and I would just like to have, like, you know, this effect that we have these lines. So you can use your fingers as well. And now I will also try to add some other tones. I can see some orange undertone, some brown undertone. So I will try to repeat the process with the brown color.
So in between, I will just say hey to Carlos to Argentina, and he says great advice. I'm really glad you joined in. I'm really glad that all of you have tuned in and stay with us even through the technical difficulties in the beginning. I saw people from South America, Mexico, Canada, the States, people from India, and is someone from Europe? There was someone from Portugal, Pau, I think. I'm starting to remember your names, guys, because you're always returning. I'm really, really glad to see you again. So Tina likes your brush, Sonia.
Thank you.
And HRZ brought a new watercolor set. It came with a sponge. And what is the sponge for?
I think it's exactly for that what I'm doing. So instead of using your paper towel, you can use a sponge as well. It gives you a different texture, and it gives you the possibility to color in surfaces very fast.
Yeah, so sponge is basically a tool you will use instead of a paper towel or a brush, right? So it's a tool to paint with. Okay, Nives, right, Germany. I forgot about you, but I read your comment in the beginning. Munich it is, right? Really glad to have you. Okay, and Kate and John, Mark already answered to HRZ as well with the sponge. So there are some people who already have been using watercolors, I think, right? Is someone of you trying out watercolors for the first time, or are you really at the beginning, or are you already a bit further on your journey? It's interesting to know, so we have a feeling how much experience you already have with
how much under the pressure should we be? Yeah.
Oh, this looks amazing. Like, it looks really windswept.
Yeah, that was also the point, to have it like very windy.
Yeah, right.
You have this feeling. So, okay. Maybe at this point we can also add some finer lines.
So for everyone who maybe just joined in, I will just blend quickly the landscape view we are painting. And if you were if you're just jumping in and want to join, you can take a screenshot of this view right now and use it later. I really have nice memories of this place. It's in Slovenia, and we went on a very nice trip with Sonia's parents, I think, and it was very windy, so it's fitting to have this windswept texture in there. So Heather is an acrylic artist. Really glad that you're joining us with the watercolors. And for Michelle, it's a totally new experience. So someone is leaving. Erika, I'm sorry that you have to leave. Watercolors, are a slow process. You have to be patient when you are when you're working with them, because they need to dry in between phases. But I hope you have time later to finish up. So Kate and John Mark, no pressure here. They said they can always learn more. And Shiny, been learning for half a year. I'm glad that you're sticking with it. And watercolors are for everyone who is picking it up. It's a feature of watercolors that you need patience and a bit of time, because watercolors need the time to dry. It's a practice in patience. And Justine, doing watercolors for a couple of years now. It is relaxing, right? I love it for its relaxing feature.
Yeah, I love it as well. Especially if you're doing something abstract like clouds, where you can just experiment with colors a bit more. I think that part is just the best. Okay, so right now I'm trying to add some other tones. I'm trying to add some orange that I mixed from the tones that I already used. I'm trying to add some texture. For that I'm using the brush.
How are you using the brush for this?
Well, you just take the nib and then you just pull it up. You try to pull the color up.
So I never knew you could actually use your brush with the brushy brushy, hairy side and with the other side. This is cool.
We can try that as well, but I think it depends how much time you have. I mean, I think it's also a pretty fast way to use the brush. Both is fine. I mean,
this is the interesting thing for me right now is that I always thought of watercolors as a tool where you color in one surface and you maybe let it dry, you color in another, but I see that so much you can do so much more, you know, with doing textures with a sponge or with a paper towel or with the other side of your brush. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I think it's the more you do, the more feeling you develop. It's the same as with other drawing techniques. So I'm so excited to see my results in a year, because we said that's our 1 year goal, right? To improve our skills. Gaspar will improve his portrait skills, portrait drawing skills, and I'm gonna improve my watercolor skills.
This was our basically set goal for 2020, and it is our goal to learn it by the end of 2020. And do you have like a goal you set for yourself, you know, that has something to do with your drawing skills, or maybe you have like a general other goal for 2020? The one we set for ourselves was to learn a new technique or a new drawing subject. Yeah, so mine are faces. I did one up until now. It is on a video how to set goals for creatives. We did you know, at the beginning or in January or something, and I did the first portrait live drawing Sonia, and it turned out amazingly bad. Amazingly bad. Go
check it out. I mean, that video is awesome, and it was so funny. And you were not bad. You were not bad at all.
See how supportive she is. This is nice.
Yeah, this is how I am.
Anyway, Sonia is much further with her goal, with her practice for her goal, I think. And yeah, it's turning out great. So we have a question here from Hania. How do you blend the plants to the ground? Because when I do it, it looks like the trees are on top of the painting. Oh yeah, this is a good question. So how do you ground them, you know? How do you make them not look...
floating away.
Floating away, yeah.
I think it's also the combination of colors that you're adding. So if you see the picture that we're having here in front of us, and if you would just close your eyes a bit, you would see that on all the plants, usually on the...
If you squint a bit, you know, like half close your eyes.
Yeah. It's like, you know, there's too much sun in your eyes and you're just trying to adapt your eyes. So if you squint a bit, you can notice that there's a fine dark line where the surface meets the volumina, so the part for the trees, like for the forest, for example. And this line like grounds everything together. So this line is very important. What I'm gonna use here right now, I'm gonna also start adding, first you add the basic wash, which means that this is my basic color, and now on top of it I will try to layer it. It's like I imagine doing watercolor is like a cake, you know, when you're baking a cake and then you're trying to add, first you have like the cake, the sponge, and then you add stuff on top of it, and then you add another sponge and another stuff and blah blah blah. So this is the same process, if you ask me, and this is what we're trying to accomplish here. That's why we started with the basic color, and then we're gonna add some finer things inside. And the thing is that on some parts you need to act very fast, especially, for example, if I would like to do the forest part here right now, I need to act fast and add some darker tones if I want everything to blend together. But if you want to add some like very fine details, then you can wait and let it dry, and then the line will be very crisp and it won't bleed into the background. I hope I answered a bit.
Yeah, if you have any questions or just feel free. I have one additional one in between. So Sarah, you ask how you blend without paper tearing. This is this is a good question. Paper tearing is probably a sign that the paper is maybe too thin, and maybe it's not you that you did anything wrong, but the paper is just not just cannot keep up with the amount of water. So I would say use less water. Use less water in general when you painting on thin paper, and leave it to dry out before applying the next wash. So this would be the best thing. I usually, if I use watercolors, up until now, I always use them in fast sketches while on the go and stuff like that, so I never really used all of these techniques Sonia is telling you about right now, but I just use it to color in some plants or something. And the problem is that sketchbooks usually have a bit of a thinner paper. They're not really meant for watercolors 100%. So yeah, how I cope with this is that I just use less water. So yeah, hi to everyone who just joined. It's great to have you here, Ivan. And back to the this year's challenge for 2020 Ritikas is to travel. So yeah, I think your challenge is a bit postponed. I also can't wait to just get out and do some travel sketching, but we'll stay patient, we'll stay safe. Avenita recommends trying 100 heads challenge to draw faces. Thanks, Avenita. I will Google that. 100 heads. So I'm assuming I have to draw 100 heads, probably, and I will learn to do it. Sounds like I have to do a challenge, because I already told the world on that video that I'm gonna do it. So the pressure is there, but I haven't developed a system. So I need like a system, like a head a day, keeps the challenge at bay.
Yeah.
Or something, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So, what are you doing right now?
I'm mixing a very dark color, maybe a bit too dark, but I'm mixing the color that I'm gonna use for definition of this road, because it has almost dark, how would you say, almost black areas, and I would like to fill those areas in, and at the same time use the strokes to define a direction, if that has like a sense. And I would also like to talk about this salt. This is just like the salt that we're using for cooking.
Oh, so if you don't have salt right now, go grab a bit of salt from the kitchen.
Yeah, because we're gonna play a bit with it as well. I think that's so fun.
Yeah, this is amazing. Sonia was just, when she was doing this watercolor technique and preparing for today, she was just like sprinkling salt on her drawing, and what are you doing with the salt? And then I saw the result, and it was amazing. So I'm really excited that she's gonna show it to you now and use it. I never knew like that watercolors are so rich in different techniques and tricks.
Yeah, so we're gonna use salt for the area. I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but what I would like to try is this definition of this
gravel?
This gravel, yeah. On the one side you have like this reddish color, brown reddish color, and on the other side you have this dark color. And I would like to just sprinkle those parts, like this part, with a bit of salt, and the crystal will the salt will dissolve somehow and push the color away. And maybe this is a trick that you can use not to do those kind of small pebbles.
Oh, stuff. Show us. I'm really excited to see.
Okay, so let's try. I will just use a lot of water.
All right.
Too much? Yeah, maybe this is still a bit too dark.
Wow.
Okay, so this is like, maybe let's add a bit more water, like this.
This looks cool.
And now from the other side I'm gonna go in with orange, brown somehow, something. Also add a lot of water. Yeah, if you notice, I'm also overreacting with water. Probably I have like a pound of different colors.
Do you want a new plate? I can organize a new plate.
Would you organize a new plate?
I can organize a new plate.
But wait, now I'm gonna just I'm gonna add the salt.
Oh, okay, the salt moment.
Yeah, you need to wait for the salt moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're gonna just take a bit of salt, and don't overreact, right? Okay, it's not like salty sticks, breadsticks or something. Just add a bit, and add it just on that particular part.
Wow. So push it a bit further high your page so people can see. All right. So, kids, do try this at home.
We encourage you to try this.
We encourage you to do this. I'm excited what will happen.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The bad part is just that you need to remove the salt afterward. Otherwise, it's just gonna spread all over the page, and we don't know what's gonna happen then. Okay, and then you just leave it be like this until it dries.
So sprinkle some salt on there, and magic will happen.
Yeah, and I'm gonna continue.
Maybe you can generally push your page a bit higher so people can see the whole of it.
Okay.
Yes, beautiful. And so, everyone, meanwhile, if your plate looks like Sonia's right now and colors are starting to flow into each other, I suggest...
bleed into each other.
Bleed into each other?
Yes.
I suggest you maybe get a fresh surface, which is what I'm going to do right now. See you in a second.
Yeah. So, maybe you first, bring the new plate. Okay. I hope your aquarels are also looking amazing.
So I organized a new beautiful plate, another valuable found on one of the Berliner flea markets. So there you go.
Maybe this was a mistake. I think this was a mistake.
What was a mistake?
This dark part here.
You know what Bob Ross said?
There are no mistakes, just happy little accidents.
Exactly. Oh yeah, so has anyone ever tried a tutorial by Bob Ross? I'd be interested if... I know he's all over the internet and he really did these amazing tutorials, but I'm interested who really took time to do a tutorial by Bob Ross. It would be interesting to hear what your experience is, if you tried it already. We got a couple of questions meanwhile.
Yeah.
Thanks Kate and John. So I guess this 100 head challenge is a thing. I will definitely Google it. It might really help me. So Carlos is asking which software do we use for broadcasting? Ecamm Live. He's curious because he wants to do a live with his band. This is amazing, Carlos. I'm glad you want to bring your music out live for everyone. Especially in these times, I think it's beautiful to hear. What we are using basically is OBS. OBS. Mm-hmm. It's a free software, and this is what we are using. And I think it's basically one doesn't need to stress with all the technicalities. I know we always tend to, is it working? Is the picture perfect? Everything, but I think in the end it's just getting it out there as soon as possible, and then with each next stream or video you do, you improve a bit. So this is something we have to learn and keep in mind as well. So Justine said Barbara said a good thing. So what did Barbara say? Oh, you mean Bob Ross? Oh, you mean Bob Ross, Justine? I just said Bob Ross. Yeah, Bob Ross. Yeah, Bob Ross. So Bob Ross, if you don't know Bob Ross, you should definitely Google Bob Ross. Tina says she watched one of his videos for laughing purposes, and you definitely should too. I mean, he had a lot of good wisdoms. There are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. So, Sonia, how's the salt experiment going?
I think pretty good. I don't know if you can see it, but here there's also a small pattern of white surfaces
Yeah.
emerging.
Wow. They ate away the color.
Yeah.
That's great. Huh.
Okay. So I think it's time to start adding the layer in between, and then we're gonna come back to this part.
Wow, beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I already like it a lot.
You like it?
Yeah.
Okay. That means a lot.
Don't worry, Justine. Bob Ross. It could also be Bob Ross, Bob Barbara, and I'm not known.
Ross Barbara.
Bob. It could well be Barbara. I'm not very well known for speaking clearly, so maybe I should try. This is like a second challenge after the 100 head challenge is like 100 word challenge. Just speak clear words, just 100 of them, maybe.
100 clear words?
Maybe. If I'm mumbling too much, guys, just tell me. Just remind me in the chat.
Clearly.
Bob Ross is on Twitch apparently as well.
What? Really?
Yeah, so I mean,
Wow.
yeah, you have him on YouTube, you have him on Twitch. He is a sort of a legend in the art world, I would say.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about what kind of color should I choose for the background landscape. And basically I figured out that all this part is just in one color. That's why I will just define this line completely, that I just keep in mind that this is one surface and then in the background we have another one. And now I'm gonna start adding the colors. And here, keep in mind, maybe we can help ourselves with this. So, Gaspar, would you like to explain a bit?
So, what's probably the bottom right one?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the good tips we can give you for drawing landscapes is when you have a landscape, try to imagine it's divided into layers, like dark layer, light layer, dark layer, dark, light. And even if it's not like that in reality, even if, you know, everything is equally bright or dark in your view, try to differentiate between dark and light layers. Just pick the first one, you know, go with the first one, make it dark, make the second one light, make the one further away dark, make the one furthest away light. In that way, you will achieve an illusion of depth in your painting or drawing. This is quite a cool trick you can use, especially when you're like drawing fast or on the go or doing sketches. So Sonia will also do it right now, right? So after the bright layer of the grass, we have the dark one, right?
Yeah. Or you can also do it like this. So you know that probably also here you can notice on the picture, on the photo that we added, you can see that on the bottom of the hills or the mountains, there's less color, or they are more white, right?
It's like fog, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's a bit foggy, and we want to create this feeling. So the line, the upper line, needs to be a bit darker, or this upper part, and then the lower part needs to be a bit lighter. And that means you can also create like this dark light contrast through that you always just emphasize this line, and when it transitions to the bottom or to the lower, you just try to get it as light as possible.
All right, so Sonia will show right now again on an example of one hill. And meanwhile, Ritika, first of all, what is Twitch? Twitch is like another video platform like YouTube with primary live streams. So I think it's mostly live streams on there. We don't have a channel on Twitch yet. Maybe we will one day. Right now our main thing is YouTube. And how do you work simultaneously with light and dark theory and light and shadows? Okay, so if I understood this correctly, and correct me if I didn't, you're asking how do you do simultaneously the switching between light and dark layers, and then also having in your head that you have to have some areas that are brighter, you know, on top of the trees, and then there's shadows underneath. Yeah, So if this is your question, I would say in general, when you look at your layer, it's supposed to be in general a bit darker, and the next one is supposed to be in general a bit lighter, and the next one in general, you know, in that layer you have differentiations, you have like light and dark areas, but like in general it needs to be just a bit maybe darker than the one behind. So this is how I would think about it. So Kate and John, yeah, what is the card we just saw? Abstraction and layers, couldn't see the rest very well. No problem, Kate and John. Are you both joining us, or is it just you, John, or just you, Kate? Or is there even more of you? But back to your question. What you just saw are our so-called cardscapes. These are postcards with drawing tips on them, and you can send them to friends, and on front they have drawing tips on different topics, or you can just tuck them in your sketchbook. And for today we decided to for this live stream to make it free for you as a PDF download, the one with the landscape tips, and here is the link where you can get it. So just check out the chat or even the video description. I think we put it in there. It's Cardscapes PDF Landscapes. You can go there and download it for free, so you have our landscape drawing tips. Okay. So John Mark is watching and Kate is listening from the other room. So hi to both of you, John and Kate.
Hello.
I'm really glad to have you. So Sonia. Oh,
how are things?
How are things? How are things down there in the valley?
Green.
All right.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think I have also a small challenge because maybe this line in my case was a bit too dark. Can I see the photo?
Oh, sure.
And I need to keep in mind that because this line here was a bit darker, I need to try to emphasize the colors in the foreground and also in the background, so that everything fits together. But otherwise, how are you progressing? Share with us. Where are you? Are you following our video, or are you just painting on your own?
Yeah, tell us how things are going. Meanwhile, Justine, sorry to see you go. And yeah, hope you finish it and then share it in our Landscapers group. And we have Hansi here from Austria, our fellow landscape architect and friend. I'm really glad to have you here, Hansi. Nice that you dropped by. Are you drawing with us, or are you just coming by to say hi? I hope you're doing well. And I just mentioned the Facebook group, everyone. This is our Landscapers Facebook group. We also linked it in the video description, and it's a place where all of us, all of you, share our works after these live videos, or even, you know, other stuff we do, and we give you feedback. You know, we comment on each other's stuff, and it's a great place to, you know, talk to the whole community. So you're very welcome to join it. I will check everyone who requests to join and confirm, so you can come in. So Heather is trying to paint. It looks like she doesn't use watercolors, which is so wait, you are using watercolors or you're not using watercolors? So Carlos is also sharing, I think, one of his goals, and it is this year to be live. Oh. All right, so you want to learn watercolors, Carlos? Great. We will do our best to provide you with as much knowledge as possible. And even if you're going to be really into it, you know, ask us questions. You can always send us photos of your works and we'll give you feedback. Okay, so Heather, you are using watercolors. Tina is on 90% following. And Oliver was gonna turn to Netflix, but got stuck on this video. All right, Oliver, I'm really glad you got stuck on this video with us. I'm glad that we're more interesting than Netflix right now.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. You know, we were also like considering, should we watch an episode of Netflix or something, or you know, should we do a live video? And we said, let's do a live video.
Let's do a live video.
All those people are waiting. It is a kind of, you know, creative outlet for us as well, and it's fun, and it's a way to feel that, you know, we're not alone in this situation where most of us are staying at home. So I'm glad that all of you are here. All right, Peter, thank you very much. We got a donation from Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks so much, and thanks for supporting us in any way you guys are doing it. So I'm really glad to have you all. So Heather is a landscape designer who usually uses pens and not watercolors. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I'm also not the watercolor person in this relationship. But how about you, Sonia? Pens over watercolors? Watercolors, pens?
I mean, I started to develop an affection for watercolors. So I would like, that's why I also started, because I would like to get more into watercolors. That's my goal, because you know, we always carry it when we're going out to sketch. We always carry it around, but we never know how to use it. And we have a few sets at home, and I said this year I would just like to explore the possibilities, because the colors are beautiful and you just don't know what to do with it. And that's my motivation. That's why I would like to learn how to use it. Yeah. But I would also like to learn to do landscapes with alcoholic pens. Yeah.
All right. So with what? With you mean markers? Alcoholic markers?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. With like Copic markers?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting. I think we'll be delving into that as well. Does any one of you use Copic markers? You know what we mean? There's like the broad nib alcohol markers or rendering markers, maybe they're also called. It's they also have a very specific, interesting technique. So Michael is using watercolor pencils right now and has to buy some watercolors. I think watercolor pencils are fine as well. How are they working for you? I'm interested if that works as well. Blaž says it's a beautiful painting. By the way, another member of the family watching, so Blaž right there, who commented, "What a beautiful painting," is my brother. So a shout out to him. Also a supporter of us, so thanks to have you.
Thank you.
Ali is doing well right now with his progress. Indranil used ink for the painting. Oh, I'm really interested, Indranil, how it turned out. By the way, if we're pronouncing the names wrongly, I'm sorry about that. Maybe you can at one point correct us, and maybe we'll learn. We'll do our best. So I'm really interested how ink is working right now. And Priyanka was trying to keep up with Sonia, but she's really behind and done with salt part. All right, don't stress. Just take your time. Watercolors are a nice process, and you have to go at your own pace and enjoy it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not fun if you need to rush it.
Sonia, we got another donation from Klaus. Klaus, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Klaus.
Thanks a lot for your support. I'm glad to have you here. Really glad. Are you doing it alone or with your family? Anyways, I'm glad that you joined us, and I hope you can take something from it.
Yeah.
All right. So Klaus wrote #1 fan. All right. So Agat is using Prismacolors, and let's see what people are saying. So Michelle is following and made a happy mess.
That's good.
And enjoys the process. You know, Michelle, as long as the mess is happy, then we should be happy too. And watercolor washes are great for sketching quickly, John, and lighter than using markers. This is true. Markers are also a challenge to use. But do you use them, John? Is it like something you actually paint or draw with? And Nives use markers at her university work. Nives, what are you studying? You're something to do with design, because they're usually used with. We use them at the university as well. I know product designers use them a lot for rendering, all those products, and we as landscape architects use them for sketching, or when we did like hand sketched plans of things. So Kate and John switched to Posca. I guess you switched to Posca. This is a brand, and started using a small kit and adding gouache to the mix this year. What are you doing, Kate and John? Like, is it drawing and painting a hobby for you, or are you doing it professionally? It's interesting that you're using these different media, gouache and markers. So, detail is coming in.
Yes.
Do tell.
Well, as you noticed, for a while now, I'm just trying to get my painting under some sort of balance. So I have the foreground, I have the middle ground, and then I have the background, which is the sky. And I added a lot of grass texture. I still have salt here on because I don't know how to remove it during the live stream, but you can just stand up and go to the sink and just put the salt away. And yeah, I noticed there are a few small houses, like a few settlements in the valley, so I added like a few small dots for it, and I think I'm nearly done. So yeah, how far are you? I also added like a few dark parts, so I'm trying to hold my sketch in some sort of balance. Like here I have like a very dark emphasis, and this forest is also very dark, and these hills have also this upper line is also very dark. So I thought about it, how can I just try to keep everything in some sort of balance, that it's not too heavy on one side or on the other. Yeah.
And does heavy mean like dark, basically?
Dark, yeah. Something that we also have it in our Cardscapes. I don't know which one is it, but there's one where we are talking about the balance of the painting. I'm not sure that you can see it, but if you go to Gumroad, there you can see the JPEG as well.
And you can download the PDF for free.
So that's great.
That's great.
Yeah, so you have like mountains on one side, and then you have rocks, or I don't know, some sort of vegetation on the other side, and basically the same works with colors as well. In this case, this road part that I emphasized here is pretty dark and full of dark colors and heavy. It works very heavy, right? So I wanted to add something heavy on the right side as well, so that it's some sort of in balance. Yeah. Would you like to add something more, Gasper?
Like a suggestion?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me see. I would say I would add more detail up front.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like I really love the grass blades you did up front. I would add more of them also in this light color. I think this will look really great and give it more depth. Like you basically create another layer up front here with this and this. Yeah.
Okay.
And I would try to differentiate more between the valley and the hill back there.
How would you accomplish that?
Now that's the good question. I was hoping you were like, yeah, done.
Yeah.
I will do that. I don't know. This is how we draw a lot of times. Like we give comments on each other's drawings, and we try to, because many times when you're drawing alone or painting, you don't see many things, and it just takes someone to run by, and just say, oh, by the way, this is you just change this and change that, and you're like, whoa, yeah, totally.
Well, I can imagine if I add more yellow, right?
Yeah, I would say a bit more yellow back there on that hill slope.
Let's try.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because the color is too similar,
too
right?
Similar, yeah. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so wow, Tina says keep it up, and she also donated us. Thanks, Tina, for the support. Yay! And let's go back to you guys what you are saying. So people are using a lot of different materials, Sonia, from Copics to gouache. Tina has a specific question: if there is a technique for not joining color areas, leaving blank white paper in between.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a technique. You can Google it as well. The thing is just that you can predict which surfaces you would like to leave white or which not. And you can even emphasize those surfaces if you're using the first technique that we did, like wet on wet. Imagine that when you're doing wet on wet, you're not just covering the whole page or surface with water, leave some parts out of it. And then when you're gonna go with color on those surface and try to add some color, you're gonna just notice that these white areas will appear even better, even stronger. They will have like a special outline. And if you want to achieve as many of those white surfaces, I covered mine already, but before that I had some and they were very nice. You need to use dry on dry technique, which is use very dry brush and very, very small amount of color. And for that you're gonna see the stroke of white surface appearing, because of course the brush will be dry.
All right, so we have a hello from US, Chris, and he says that we inspired him, and we're really glad that we did, Chris. So thanks a lot. Thanks for this compliment. This means the most to us if we actually can inspire some of you to draw and paint and creatively express yourself, because we are all creative, and maybe if we're not professional creatives, we definitely do need a creative outlet. And it is amazing how much people can actually achieve by expressing themselves creatively. And also it is basically an exercise for your brain. It would be a shame to just use one half of our brain for the logical thinking and not use the other, because doing it with hands haptically really brings so much. So Kate and John, they teach in high school, in junior high, and they teach art.
Wow.
Art professionals, art instructors. Wow, really glad to have you here.
Yeah.
We're honored. Thanks, Kate and John. And they just moved back from Japan, where they taught, to the US. So Carlos, you asked about the Facebook group, right? I will share it again here right now. So it's called Landscapers, because we are all landscapers now.
In this group?
In this group. And you can join, and I will right now see if anyone has applied. I just have to confirm you, but we'll do that in a second, so you can get inside really fast. So one more thing in between. We have upcoming live streams, the next one on Friday, on Saturday, and the next one is on Monday again. So on Friday we're doing something we haven't done before, but we hope that you tune in, because we said we want to give feedback, direct feedback to your work. What does that mean? You can send us work via Instagram, Facebook, or email, or whatever, and in live video we will pick as many as we can and comment on it live and try to give you some tips on how to make it better. So it's a great chance to get direct feedback from us. And now let me share the Facebook group again. So for all of you, would be glad if after the stream you would share your work.
Okay, so the final part is happening. I'm just taking the washi tape down.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, this is so satisfying at the end to take this tape down.
Wow, it's like you're freeing the sketch.
Yes.
Wow, this is awesome.
And I must say that I really like this nice edge that washi tapes create, because through that, you know, you have a frame already, preset frame.
What about the salt?
I'm gonna put it away when we're done, because I don't want to leave you all.
So yeah, if you still have salt on your painting, you can leave it, you know, for the nice.
Just don't forget to put it away.
I just wanted to put it in my mouth and just stopped at the last moment. You know, this instinct when you find some salt and just lick it. Do you have this instinct as well? Okay, so everyone, if you have some closing questions, do ask us right now. I also saw, Nives, that you're studying landscape architecture. Awesome. In Munich? Is it at the Technical University in Munich? Because that's where I did my exchange semester, and I studied in, you know, Finalizing. That's where the campus is. So you might be at the same school. My professor at university likes to leave some small spots of white so it doesn't look too perfect, says Nives. Yeah, I think that definitely is a way to make your watercolors look more sketchy. Sketchy, not as in like sketchy, but like sketch-like. Yeah, sketch-like. Yeah, that's a good tactic.
Tell us the name of your professor. Maybe we can Google it. No, not maybe. We would like to Google it.
Yeah, tell us who your professor is for drawing.
And then we can try to learn something from him.
Sonia, so much love coming, and thanks Anne for the donation, and thanks Heather for the donation. Wow,
you're just the best.
Thank you everyone, for all your support and love, and we definitely hope that you are all safe and your loved ones and healthy, and we hope that you will also stay in the future, and we'll always be glad to have you back.
Definitely.
So let me turn on this real quick. I already told a bit about it. So Friday the 3rd we have Let's Look at Your Drawings, right?
Yes.
So at what hour is it? It's at 5 p.m. Central European time?
Yeah. We're gonna post additional times on Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. And what are we doing on Saturday? What is relaxation with drawing?
Well, that's something that will be very relaxing. The main goal is just to get very relaxed with drawing, because in these times we need relaxing as much as possible, right? Even if you're constantly, I mean, we're fine. Our families are happy and are healthy as well. But still, there's so much information around us, and there are questions that we are constantly asking ourselves, and we're bombarded with information. And we would just like to take this time on Saturday to relax together through a nice, relaxing drawing.
All right.
Yeah.
So hope to see you on Saturday as well, and. Any closing thoughts? Peter also donated. I don't know if we saw it, but Peter, if we missed that, definitely thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
By the way, Peter, right at the beginning, asked where he got this amazing jacket. So.
Thank you. In a shop in Berlin somewhere. But I can tell you what brand it is, so you can buy it for yourself as well.
So everyone, really glad that we had you here, and see you on Friday.
Don't forget to post your paintings. I would love to see it, and I will also put mine on Facebook group, so you can see it as well.
Or post it on Instagram and tag us, and we'll definitely see it.
Bye. Wish you a nice evening.
Keep on drawing. I always don't know how to end this, so there's always this awkward couple of seconds, and bye bye. Now we're really going. So now I know where the button is. Bye!